All right, it's the second day after I got this installed. Got it on yesterday. I had an issue with the fuel line that I couldn't fix, so I couldn't drive it. It was actually this one back here, and I fought with it. I bought clamps today. As you can see, I have it on there, the screw-on clamp, and it still leaked. And lo and behold, I got my wrench out, and this guy was like an eighth of a turn. I mean, not even an eighth of a turn. It just barely moved, and I was almost positive I had double checked. Matter of fact, I'm pretty sure I did. I think I just was too scared to over tighten them, and so it moved just literally a hair, and it stopped leaking. So guess shows you how sensitive those connections are. So, but as you can see, I've got everything, almost everything double clamped, just to make sure. But anyway, I was able to take it for a test run today. I did a couple of videos, but I'm not even going to share the video because it's rather uneventful. I guess first impressions on the first run that I made was that driving out of the neighborhood was perfectly okay. Everything was running fairly well. Uh, really no issues to speak of. It did what it needed to do. I slowly made my way through the neighborhood, and once I got out on the main road, I put my foot in it, and it was almost disappointing, just based on what I was expecting. So there's where some of the regret started seeping in a little bit, and so I went down the road a ways to where the straight stretch that I like to kind of really open it up comes up, and then there was no cars in front or behind me, so I pretty much just stopped in the middle of the road and got into it again. And my first impression was that I was able to get my foot into it without it falling on its face, like the old carburetor, but it wasn't that tire shredding, power that I was expecting. So but it accelerated great, got on up to speed. I was up to 70 in no time. No hesitation or anything. It just kind of got up there and went, and did real well. But just definitely was missing the kind of the bottom end. And I don't know if from a standstill, I don't really know that it matters. I don't have the kick down connected there. I'm going to need the extension, which I have to order. Apparently there's two things you need to get for the Ford kickdown, possibly. In this case, I need both. One of them is the mount that goes here in these two screws, and there's a spring attachment that I guess attaches somewhere here that kind of puts tension on it. And then obviously, as you can see from where it is in its normal position, that it's nowhere near able to reach. So there's an extension that I'm going to have to also get. And the reason I found that out the hard way yesterday is I hooked this up first before I hooked any of this stuff up. And so I opened up the throttle inadvertently, didn't know I was doing it because nothing was hooked up and everything was kind of moving freely. And I hooked the kick down up first, and when my first startup happened, it revved up, of course, through the roof, and I cut it off immediately and realized that I can't connect that at all until I get the extension. So anyway, from a dead standstill, starting in first, just punching it, just unimpressive. So, and one other thing that happened on the way back is when I got under wide open throttle, the pedal stuck, and I don't know that there's anything binding here. This spring is probably original. I may look into getting a new spring tomorrow. I don't know where it's getting hung up at. There's really nothing. I mean, the spark plug wires aren't really getting into it. There are some cables going around it, like for the coil, but nothing is getting in this spring, so I don't understand why it's happened twice, that pedal went to the floor and stayed there, and luckily just me smacking it a couple times got it up. I wasn't getting it, of course, not any hairpin turns or anything. I wouldn't open it up like that in a situation where I was going through a windy road, but still scares you when the pedal goes to the floor. So I'm going to look into changing that. And I'm just using this hoop up top here, this hole, because that's looks like the best place that I know to put the spring. I think I mentioned it in the other video. There's a guy online that has like a old Galaxy, like an early 60s Galaxy, and his spring actually attaches to the bottom from the backside. I don't see anywhere where I can put a spring back there unless they make some kind of clamp I could put on the manifold back there, which I guess is entirely possible. But nonetheless, I brought it back and watched some videos. Didn't realize until I watched the videos that there's actually there's 4 idle mixture screws on this carburetor. I thought it was just these 2 in the front. There's one on this side and there's one on the other here on that side, but there's one on each side of the back too. And so I did fool with that a little bit because it's smelling like it's rich when it's running. And the funny thing is I've got excellent vacuum, but it's, you know, when I had it here in the garage, even with the big door open, it actually was like burning your eyes pretty bad. So but I had great vacuum up around 20. It was fairly steady. I'm not really sure what the deal is with that. A little concerning, but I'm gonna try to dig into that a little bit more. But the only major change that I made was the vacuum advance. Here I had it originally going down. I don't know if I could really get, you can't really see it, but there's a couple of, yeah, I don't think you can get down there to see with the camera, but there's 2, I think you can barely see the tip of the big one there. Yeah, that's a big connection, and there's a smaller one, and I was using that one originally for the vacuum advance, and that's I think full vacuum all the time. On one of the videos that Holley had, it said that they recommended using this connection right above this idle mixture screw because it actually doesn't have any vacuum at idle, so it doesn't inadvertently advance your timing while you're idling. So I said I'll try it, no biggie. So I just switched it up. That was basically the only change I made. I did tweak some of the rear idle mixture screws, but for the most part it was still, vacuum wise it didn't change a whole lot. So this time when I went out, I didn't want to record anything because I wanted to be able to manually shift, and it's just not safe to try to do all that and hold a camera. So I got out on the main road, dropped it in first, nothing was coming, and I eased out and then into the intersection, and then got on it, and the truck turned the tires over like I had never experienced in this truck before. So that was impressive and unexpected, especially after what happened on the first run. So this time I didn't go as far. I just found a parking lot up the street and turned around and eased back out onto the main road and did the same thing, and it just lit the tires up. So much more responsive. I'm not sure if this is solely responsible, but certainly leaning towards it at this moment. But just want to pass as much information along as I can, just to, you know, for other folks that might be, you know, looking at this carburetor or already have one similar. So that's the only other vacuum hose or any kind of hose I have is the PVC that's going here to the rear, and that's it as far as hoses go on this carburetor. Whereas the older carburetor, I had several hard and soft hoses going to it. So that's it for now. At this point I'm pretty impressed, and the only thing I really need to do now is get these pieces for the kick down, because I really want to see how it responds with all that in place, you know, so I can make an apples to apples comparison, because I'm not going to be driving this thing around manually shifting gears. So I'd like to see how it runs with the kick down in place, and as soon as those parts come in and I get them installed, I'll go ahead and make another video and we'll see how it turns out. So y'all have a good one.